Bore da, good morning, croeso, and welcome to Motivate Me on a Saturday morning. All right, so I've noticed when I've been going through the videos that I always say, like, Motivate Me is about a 15-minute talk, but hey, it's got to be said. So today we're talking about balance, and the reason why balance is so important to us is part of our fitness training, no matter what age you are. So balance relies on one special aspect of physical fitness training. So within physical fitness training, you have 5 elements that you need to balance out during your workout. Bore da pawb, hope you're all right. So the 5 elements of physical fitness are cardiovascular fitness, looking after the fitness not only of your heart, but also the transportation of oxygen around your body, where your heart is pumping through the blood vessels. And it's about keeping your heart big and strong, and about creating this floodplain of vessels throughout your body to help reduce your blood pressure, and really to just supply your muscles with sufficient amount of oxygen and energy that you can do your workout without it being a stress. You then have muscular endurance. Muscular endurance and cardiovascular training are very closely linked. Remember, what you're doing with muscular endurance is keeping going. So think about running a marathon for 2.5 hours compared to doing a deadlift in a weighted workout. So endurance means that you sustain a rhythmic movement continuously. So anything like walking, running, cycling, swimming tends to be like that. But also you can think of it like doing a lot of bicep curls, maybe, that we're doing in some of the classes that we do in functional fitness, or doing some of the ab work that we do in Pilates. Muscular strength, on the other hand, is the ability to overcome a force. All right, so it's not like you can lift it loads of times. You can maybe lift it only a few times, but that creation of force within the muscle helps your muscles and your tendons and your ligaments to become stronger. And there's some really interesting research as how it improves the strength of your left ventricle, which is the main pump of the heart. So we definitely want to do that. Because the other element that we have when we create a force through the muscles is it creates a tension that pressures our bone, and our bone then becomes stronger. This is really important as we get older, as our bone strength diminishes, so that we can maintain a healthy body without breaking bones, without losing posture, and without having that effect on our lower back pain and pelvic floor issues. So bone density in itself is crucial. You know, you need to balance your diet with your potassium and your magnesium alongside your calcium and everything else to keep the bones healthy. The fourth one is flexibility. We did a lot of work on this in Pilates in the past few weeks, where we look at the ability to move through a range of movement. And we talked about how the joint has those 2 elements, where you want to improve the internal integral structure of the joint by mobilizing it and creating that fluid to moisturize your lovely little cartilage, to keep your cartilage healthy. And that how we want to keep moving joints, especially those that are stiff and achy, because keeping them still leads to a buildup of some hyaluronic acid, which makes the joint a little bit more swollen and a little bit more stiff. And so moving joints are the thing. So if you have arthritis, you want to move, not be still. But also we looked at flexibility, which means that the ability to move the joint is given by the tension of the muscle around the joint. So if the muscle's super tight, it's very hard to move the joint. So if you took the muscles off, the bones would move quite happily. So flexibility is all about the range of movement around the joint, dependent upon the range of flexibility. And then we talked about that balance between, because all muscles work in pairs, muscles only pull, they don't push. So when this one pulls, this one has to stretch. And we talked, I think 2 weeks ago, wasn't it? We talked about reciprocal inhibition, where the ability for this muscle to contract is mediated by the ability of this muscle to release and relax. So if this muscle is super, super tight, this has to work against not only the force of your body, but also the force of the tight muscle. So we often see this when we're doing a sit-up. We can't do the sit-up fully because our back muscles are in such spasm, they can't move. And that means that you get a very kind of stiff neck when you're doing a sit-up. You might get pain in the upper back when you're doing the sit-up. And so sometimes flexibility means that we work around moving the joint that's inflexible due to the tightness of the muscle. And if you remember, we did some things on mobility, which is the ability of mobilizing the joint. And then we looked at flexibility, which is to stretch the muscles that are tight around a joint. And we also talked about how some muscles that cross two joints, like your hip or your hamstrings that cross your hip and your knee, tend to be tighter, okay? And that's just a natural thing. So some of them are called hypertonic, okay? Hypertension. And we need to work on them in both a practical way of a stretching, but also in a kind of controlling the stress through deep breathing, visualization. And so last week we did a lot of work on visualization of the movement, because that ability to focus on where the movement can go and about how it feels really helps the body to relax the muscle. Because sometimes we're tense with the muscles because of our mental focus. So it might be like, oh no, I can't move that because it hurt my shoulder, I've hurt my back, and you know, I mustn't do it, or you know, or you did something once that caused pain. And so, you know, overcoming that fear and understanding the mental process along with the physical process really helps us. So those are four main elements of fitness that we've been really hammering in Cafe 24. The fifth one is an element that integrates with all four, and they're called motor skills. So you spell it as in motor car, M-O-T-O-R, but what they mean is motor neuron. So the motor neuron is the nerve response to the muscle. Okay, so in order for the muscle to contract, you know, like a defib, you have to have that electric power into the muscle to make it contract. Okay, it won't contract otherwise. So the nerve fires the electric power into the muscle and makes the muscle work. Brilliant system. The amount of nerve fibers within your muscle depends on how fit you are. So the fitter you are, the more electrical impulses are working in your muscles. The stronger you are, the more force those muscles are hit with electricity to make them contract. Now, it's not like electricity, like switching on electricity in the light, unfortunately, but it does work like that, okay? It's like a defib to your muscle. And what we want to do is we want to make that reaction time really quick, okay? So think of it as in, we want your motor skills to be able to react quickly to a situation where we want to go contract now, all right? Work now. So as we get older, that reaction time becomes slower. And so when you trip and fall, you stutter a bit more because the motor neuron, the firing electrical charge to your muscle to make it contract, is a slow. Okay, think of it like slow internet where you've got lag on your computer. You don't want that. So it is a training system, and we can train that system to improve the motor neuron response. And we do it in different ways. So we have reactive, we have agility, we have speed, we have power, and we have balance. And those 5 elements help our nervous system work together. So let's look at power. Okay, so power is the ability of force and speed to come together. All right. So think of things like in weight training where we pick the weight up quickly. You know, when we're doing maybe chest press, we go slow, 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 and then we'll do some quick ones. That quick movement helps our muscles go quick, go quick, go quick. Okay, so the signaling keeps going to the muscle, move, 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 move. And the more times that you send that signal to the muscle, okay, there's nothing fancy, okay, you can't take a pill, you can't do anything like that. You've got to do the movement time and time again. It's like learning to touch type, you know. To begin with, you've got one finger and you're typing really slowly, and now you can type away quite happily. It is practice, 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 practice. The power element comes with the amount of intensity with that. So that means when we're doing our strength training, we make the weight as heavy as we can, because in order to lift a heavy weight, we have to have multiple, defibrillating motor neurons firing upon our muscles, not just 1 or 2. Okay, you might have 100, super force. That is brilliant, because when it then comes to maybe you're going to fall and you want to catch yourself or hold on to something, number one, Your speed is there, but number two, the ability to hold your body weight is there. Which is why when we're weight training, we want to lift body weight if we can, okay? We don't want to be doing, can I do 2K? We want to be going, can I do 5, 6, 7, 8, 10, 20, 30, 40, 50K? We need to kind of think on those levels. Speed is that thing of reacting quickly. All right, so I don't know about you, but as you get older, you notice you get a bit slower. And that's because we have certain muscle fibers that work on this quick system, and they diminish. But your body is very clever and adapted. And what your body does is it keeps some muscle fibers that are called intermediary. And they can be both slow or fast, depending upon your training system. So the muscle fiber distribution that you have is given to you genetically, but you have an influence on how you train that. So we've got speed, power, and now we're going to do agility. So agility is the kind of things that we do in HIIT, the quick movement side to side, where you're going to have to react. Okay, so we've got that reaction when we jump from one leg to another. You know, to begin with, you might be quite slow, you might be quite ponderous, you might be quite heavy, you might be feeling that, oh, I can't do it today. But what you have to do is to try, because the practice element is where you get your strength from for motor skills. So if you never practice moving quickly because you're scared, or you think you're too old, or you think like, oh, I can't do it, so your negative self-talk is telling your body you can't do this, you need to kind of say, let's try, let's go. So think of the things we do in HIIT, you know, jumping side to side, single leg to single leg. All of those are speed and reaction. So if a dog runs out in front of you, you can move out of the way like that without falling over and tripping and breaking your leg or breaking your hip or whatever. And then you have balance. So balance is often the key. So I quite often get people in my back hair class who have balance issues that have influenced their back pain. So they were bending over to do something and their balance was off, and so they went like this, and that put an unnatural strain on the back. You haven't got the speed and reaction, and so you're more likely to hurt your back. So standing Pilates is the real place where we practice balance. Even though balance, excuse me, need a drink of water. Even though we practice balance in other things, this ability to stand on one leg means that when you're walking downhill, so everything is functional in the class. So if you were walking downhill, yeah, you'd want to have that ability to step into space, yeah, and hold the weight. So you'll see people walking downhill with sticks, okay? And I've done that myself, they're great sticks, if you haven't got good balance, to act as extra balance. Or say if you were reaching something on a high shelf, what you tend to do is to go onto tiptoes, yeah, or even reach like this to get something. That ability to hang curtains up or do any of the things, wallpaper, paint the wall, where you don't want to fall, relies on you practicing the skill. And you know, fitness is dead boring in lots of ways because you've got to do the same thing over and over and over again. And the only way you can make it enjoyable is to listen to the music, listen to the chat, go with somebody, you know, do the things that you enjoy. But avoiding doing those things means you avoid the opportunity to improve your health. Now, I'm going to call out Nia here. Sorry, Nia. But I love Nia's post today because Nia came to me and said, oh, I can't do this and I can't do that. And I said, trust me, we'll get you better. And that process has taken a year. But if you practice, you will get better. If you don't practice, how do you expect your body to respond? Your body responds to stimulus. You create that stimulus. So if you think like my balance is weak, mentally, you don't say, my balance is weak, therefore I don't do balance work. You say, my balance is weak, therefore I practice. Okay? So if you've got a leak in the roof, you don't kind of go, I've got a leak in the roof, I'll just leave it because my roof is leaking, there's nothing I can do about it. You go, I'm going to fix the roof because having a leak in my roof is a real problem for me. And it's that kind of thing. If you're somebody who maintains your car and washes your car and cleans your car and takes it for service, you should be doing the same thing to your body. You should be looking after it. You should be sleeping well. You should be putting your nutrition in place. You should be exercising on a regular basis. Now, you don't have to exercise with me. I will help you because I'm finding it fascinating myself. I'm 62 this year, and I certainly don't expect to be slowing down too much or changing the way I feel, or I'm looking to improve my body. And I went to Marks and Spencer's yesterday and I tried on some clothes in the Marks and Spencer's changing rooms. Let me tell you, it's not a good experience, but it's motivated me to think about, well, actually, I really need to lose some weight, even though it's never been a big thing for me. But I'm thinking, I think that will make me healthier. So have a think about what works for you. Have a think about those 5 different elements of fitness. Think about the one that is your weak point, okay? And you might say all 5 are, it doesn't matter. But think about ways to practice and improve it. Come to the cafe. And remember, if you are doing Cafe Spring, the discount runs out tomorrow, so please book before tomorrow if you want to do that. And also you can buy a gift card, so if it's a Mother's Day present, why not gift your parents or your mother figure, thank you Jenny, the gift of Cafe Spring. And if you get any issues with the website, please contact me. Okay, I've overrun time as usual. I hope you've enjoyed that little talk, and remember, nothing can't be fixed. We can all do it together, and I will help you. And I'll see you all on Monday for some fun and games. Take care. Hwyl fawr pawb.